My heels clicked against the marble floor of my office lobby, a sound that still sends a shiver of pride down my spine. Sometimes I wonder if the echoes carry all the way back to that street, the one people used to laugh at, the one that branded me as less than. Now, standing here in my glass-walled office on the 20th floor, overlooking the very block they mocked, I can't help but smile. The city hums beneath me, a symphony of car horns, voices, and ambition. My silk blouse drapes effortlessly across my shoulders, my lipstick perfectly intact after a long board meeting. The smell of freshly brewed coffee lingers, thanks to the assistant who set a steaming cup on my desk minutes ago. Everything about this moment feels deliberate, powerful. Then my phone buzzes. A name flashes on the screen, a name I never thought I'd see again. My stomach tightens, not out of fear, but out of memory. The years peel back in an instant. The taunts, the pointed fingers, the cruel laughter when I walked home from school on those cracked sidewalks. For a moment, I just stare at the phone, my manicured nails hovering above the screen. Answering means reopening doors I had long slammed shut. Ignoring it means staying cocooned in the life I've built. I inhaled deeply, the scent of roses from the bouquet on my desk grounding me. Then, with steady fingers, I swipe to accept the call. Madison Cole, I say smoothly, my voice carrying the weight of everything I've become. The voice on the other end of the line drags me back in time, further than I expected. Suddenly, I'm 16 again, standing at the corner of Willow and 8th my street. The street that kids at school turned into a punchline. I can still hear the snickers. Don't go near her house. You'll catch poverty. Or worse. She lives on crack corner. Their words burned deeper than I let on. My cheeks flushed hot every time someone pointed out the peeling paint on our fence or the broken lamppost outside our house. I'd clench my backpack straps so tight, my knuckles turned white, wishing I could shrink small enough to disappear. Even some relatives weren't kind. At family gatherings, my cousins whispered about how trashy my neighborhood looked. One aunt once sighed, loud enough for me to hear. Poor thing. She'll never get out of there. The shame was suffocating. I remember one night I locked myself in the bathroom, tears streaming down my face, staring at the girl in the mirror who didn't believe she'd ever be enough. But not everyone mocked me. My grandmother, Evelyn, lived just a block away in a tiny apartment that always smelled like lavender and lemon pie. She'd press a warm hand over mine and say, Madison, never let the street define you. You define it. You carry the block, not the other way around. One evening, after another round of cruel jokes at school, I collapsed on her couch. Without a word, she opened her jewelry box and handed me a small silver key charm on a thin chain. This isn't just jewelry, she said softly. It's a promise. One day, you'll unlock doors they never thought you could walk through. I wore that necklace every day, tucked under my shirt. It became more than a trinket, it was armor. The turning point came during senior year. I'd just been laughed out of a group project presentation because someone sneered, "Don't expect Madison to do much. She's from Willow Street." I walked home that day under the weight of humiliation, but also under a new fire. I remember stopping in front of the cracked sidewalk outside our house, wiping angry tears, and whispering to myself, I'll prove them wrong. I'll own more than they can even dream of. That vow stayed with me. I didn't know how, but I knew I wouldn't be trapped in their story. I'd write my own. After graduation, I didn't have a roadmap, just that fire inside me and the silver key charm resting against my skin. While everyone else seemed to glide into college dorms funded by their parents, I was stacking shifts at a diner, wiping down sticky tables until 2 a.m. The tips barely covered rent, but I learned fast. Money was a tool, and I had to master it. I devoured library books on finance, business, and real estate. At night, after dragging myself home with sore feet, I'd sit cross-legged on my second-hand futon, highlighter in one hand, coffee mug in the other, forcing my tired eyes to stay open. There were plenty of failures. My first attempt at saving vanished when my old car broke down. My first credit card maxed out before I truly understood interest. More than once, I thought maybe they were right that girls from Willow Street didn't climb out. Then came my first mentor, a woman named Carla Jennings, who managed the diner's accounting. She noticed the spreadsheets I scribbled in the margins of my order pad, little calculations of tips and expenses. One slow afternoon, she leaned against the counter and said, "Madison, you're thinking like an investor. Don't waste that." She introduced me to a community workshop on property management. I went, nervous and out of place among men in press suits, but I took notes like my life depended on it. That workshop led to my first leap, pooling my savings to buy a rundown duplex with Carla's guidance. Everyone thought I was crazy, pouring everything I had into a place with chipped paint and leaky pipes. But I saw possibility where others saw ruin. I scrubbed floors myself, patched walls, and learned to negotiate with contractors. The day I signed my first tenant, sliding that lease across the table with shaking hands, I felt the ground shift beneath me. It wasn't just a rental, it was proof. From there, the wins multiplied, slowly but surely. Each building funded the next. I reinvested every dime, living frugally, never flaunting the growing empire under my name. Online, my life looked modest. Social media showed coffee cups, sunsets, maybe a blurry photo with coworkers. No luxury cars, no flashy handbags. Just quiet progress. I didn't want the people who once mocked me to know, not yet. I wanted the reveal to matter. Some nights were brutal. I remember standing in empty units at midnight, scrubbing mildew until my arms ached, my nails chipped and bleeding. I remember crying into cheap takeout containers when deals fell through. But then I'd touch the little silver key around my neck and whisper the words my grandmother gave me. "You'll unlock doors."
And I did.
Over time, I didn't just unlock doors, I bought them, renovated them, and rented them out. Slowly, block by block, my portfolio grew. By the time I was 28, I wasn't just surviving. I was thriving. I had become the quiet owner of properties scattered across the city, including, fittingly, most of Willow Street itself. But I kept that detail tucked away, close to my chest, waiting for the right moment. The call I'd answered earlier wasn't just a blast from the past, it was an invitation. The city was hosting a development meeting about a block renewal project. And guess which block was at the center of discussion? Willow Street. My street. When I arrived at the downtown council chamber, I spotted them immediately. Familiar faces I hadn't seen in years, old classmates, former neighbors, even an aunt who once called my childhood home a lost cause. They looked different now, wrinkles, tired eyes, but the same arrogance lingered in their posture as they scanned the room. They didn't notice me at first. Not until the chairperson cleared his throat and said, "And now, the primary investor for this district will present her vision. Please welcome Madison Cole." The silence that followed was almost sweet. Their heads snapped toward me in unison, jaws slack, eyes wide. For a moment, I let the pause stretch, the sound of my heels echoing as I walked to the podium. I wore a tailored navy suit, a diamond watch glinting under the lights. Behind me, projected on the screen, were the property titles, my property titles, spanning block after block. "Good afternoon," I began smoothly, gripping the edges of the podium. "Some of you might remember Willow Street as the place you avoided. The place you laughed about. The place you said would never change. Well, I let the images cycle. Renovated storefronts, modern apartments, community spaces I had personally funded. I own it now. Every building, every corner. Willow Street isn't a punchline anymore, it's mine." A ripple went through the room. My aunt actually gasped. One of my old classmates, Brad, the loudest of the mockers, shifted uncomfortably in his chair, his face blotchy red. I didn't need to gloat. The truth spoke for itself. But I wasn't finished. "You see," I continued, my voice steady but firm, "you all taught me something important. Mockery can break a person, or it can light a fire so powerful it burns down every wall in the way. I chose the fire." I glanced around the room, meeting their stunned gazes. I didn't just buy back my street. I transformed it. Jobs, housing, small businesses, all thriving because I refused to believe the story you wrote for me. The silence was thick, broken only by the hum of the projector. Finally, Brad cleared his throat and stammered. You own the whole block? I tilted my head, allowing a small smile. Not just the block. The entire city block, including the building you're sitting in right now. That landed like a thunderclap. People shifted, whispering, their disbelief mingling with awe. My aunt's lips parted, but no words came out. I let them sit with it, the weight of their own underestimation pressing down. Then I softened my tone just slightly. I'm not here for revenge. I'm here because I believe change is possible. For places. For people. Even for those who once mocked me. The room was still, like everyone was holding their breath. I stepped away from the podium, my heels striking the polished floor with quiet authority, and returned to my seat at the head of the table. It was clear. The girl they once laughed at was gone. In her place sat the woman who owned the city block. The silence after my reveal stretched long enough for me to feel every eye in the room drilling into me. Some looked impressed, some ashamed, and others, like Brad, just stunned, as if their minds were scrambling to rewrite every memory they had of me. Finally, my aunt broke the silence. Madison, I didn't realize you've done all this. Her voice was small, almost fragile. I folded my hands neatly on the table, the diamond on my watch catching the light. Yes. And I didn't do it alone. I worked, I learned, I sacrificed. But I also stopped believing the things people like you told me about who I could or couldn't be. Brad leaned forward, his bravado cracked. Listen, we were kids. We didn't mean. I cut him off gently, but firmly. Oh, you meant every word. And it left marks. But I turned those marks into fuel. I let my gaze move across the room, steady and unflinching. Here's the thing. I could walk away now. I don't need anyone in this room. But I believe in second chances if people are willing to change. A murmur ran through the group. They weren't expecting generosity. I continued. So here are my terms. If you want to be part of the renewal of Willow Street, if you want a piece of the future I've built, you'll have to earn it. I pointed gently, not accusatory, just direct. My aunt, stop gossiping and start doing. You always had a dream of running a bakery, didn't you? I'll fund the startup, but only if you actually step into the kitchen and commit to it. Her eyes widened, shocked, but hopeful. Then my gaze shifted to Brad. You wanted to be in real estate, right? You laughed at me when I said I'd invest one day. Now I'll give you the chance to learn, on the condition you start at the bottom. No shortcuts. You'll work under my managers and you'll take orders from the very people you used to look down on. His jaw tightened, pride warring with desperation, but he nodded slightly. And for everyone else, I said, addressing the group, if you want to be involved, you'll contribute to the community. Volunteer hours, mentoring programs, investing time, not just money. No one rides free anymore. The room was quiet again, but this time it wasn't shock, it was processing. Some faces looked relieved, others resistant, but none could deny the authority in my voice. I softened, leaning back slightly. I'm not here to humiliate you. I don't need to. Life already flipped the script. But I am here to make sure Willow Street's story changes for good. And that means the people who once mocked it need to become the people who uplift it. For the first time, I saw something shift in their eyes, not just guilt, but respect. The balance of power had changed forever. Weeks passed after that meeting, and slowly, I began to notice changes. My aunt showed up one morning with flour on her apron and determination in her eyes. She wasn't just talking about baking anymore. She was doing it, experimenting with recipes in a rented kitchen. Brad, predictably, struggled. The first time I saw him carrying boxes into one of my apartment complexes, sweat dripping down his forehead, he caught my eye and looked away, embarrassed. But he didn't quit. Each day he showed up a little humbler, a little less like the boy who once sneered at Willow Street. Others started pitching in too. Neighbors I hadn't seen in years volunteered for community projects, repainting old walls, planting flowers along sidewalks. It wasn't just about me anymore. The block was transforming, not only in brick and mortar, but in spirit. Late one evening, after walking the length of Willow Street, my street, I stopped in front of the old lamppost that used to flicker and buzz when I was a kid. It had been replaced with a shining new one, casting warm light across the pavement. For the first time, I didn't feel shame standing there. I felt pride. I reached up and touched the silver key around my neck. It had tarnished slightly over the years, but its weight was still steady, grounding. My grandmother's words echoed in my mind. You'll unlock doors they never thought you could walk through. She was right. I had unlocked doors and built new ones where none existed. I thought about that younger version of me, gripping her backpack straps, cheeks hot with humiliation. I wished I could tell her, hold on. The pain will shape you. The laughter will fuel you. And one day, they'll see you not as the girl from Willow Street, but as the woman who owns it. The city buzzed around me, but inside, there was silence.
Peace.
Completion. I turned, heading back toward my car, the glow of the streetlights following me like a crown. And as if speaking to that girl in the mirror from years ago, I whispered aloud. They mocked my street once. Now I own the city block.